Yo, folks! Ready to dive deep into the most badass, traumatized, and absurdly powerful body to ever stomp through the realms of gods and monsters? Today, we're dissecting Kratos, the ghost of Sparta himself, the god of war. Forget the gym, forget the bodybuilders. Kratos is a living lesson in how a being can transcend what we call physical limits and become a force of nature, a walking annihilation machine fueled by pure hate, and eventually, a little bit of fatherhood. Grab your popcorn, crank up the volume, and get ready for an analysis fit for Olympus or Jotunheim. Let's start with the obvious, yeah? Looking at Kratos is like staring at a monument of muscles sculpted in marble, chiseled by pain and combat. But don't be fooled, it ain't just roided up gym aesthetics. Every fiber, every bone in his body screams, unstoppable. The first thing that jumps out is his gray skin tone, a perpetual, creepy reminder of the ashes of his first family, fused to his skin by a witch's curse. It's a detail that goes beyond looks. It's the physical manifestation of his curse, his penance, and his primary source of rage. Imagine having the memory of your greatest failure literally etched onto your skin. This ain't just cosmetic, it's fuel for the fury. Underneath that ash layer lies a mass of muscle that defies known biology. Kratos doesn't have roided up gym muscles. He's got extremely dense, functional musculature. Think muscle fibers that are maybe 10, 100, 1,000 times stronger and tougher than a regular human's. If an Olympic bodybuilder can bench, say, 300 pounds, Kratos could probably lift a bull with one hand, or, like we've seen, heave a titan's foot, push colossal bridges, or even take a hit from a giant god without getting squashed. Scientifically speaking, and we're gonna ride this wave with some gusto, but it's got foundation, that muscle density could be explained by an enhanced cellular structure. Maybe his muscle cells, the myocytes, are more numerous, longer, or contain more myofibrils and sarcomeres, the muscle's contractile units, than normal. Plus, his metabolic energy efficiency has gotta be off the charts. While our muscles fatigue from lactic acid buildup and ATP depletion, Kratos seems to have an almost limitless supply or some insane energy recycling ability that negates fatigue for way too long. He can fight for days, trek across entire realms on foot, and keep going like he's just warming up. You can't have steel muscles on a glass skeleton. Kratos' bones are undeniable proof he ain't just an overdeveloped human. They gotta be made of some super bone material far exceeding human density and resilience. We could speculate his bone composition includes extra minerals or a tighter crystal structure, letting him withstand impacts that would crush a tank. He survives impalements, being crushed, falling from stratospheric heights, and while he feels the pain and gets injured, his bones mostly stay intact, healing fast. It's like his skeleton's made of vibranium, but organic. Kratos is a pain truck. He suffers, he bleeds, he gets vital organs hit, but his capacity to endure that pain is legendary. His nervous system probably has an absurdly high pain threshold, letting him keep functioning even with injuries that would kill anyone else. And when he is hurt, the healing is near instant in many cases, or crazy fast for worse wounds. Deep cuts close in seconds, broken bones realign. This suggests a divine healing factor, or hyperactive stem cells and a superhuman immune system repairing tissue at light speed. Imagine a healing factor that rivals Wolverine's, but without the adamantium weighing it down. The red tattoo covering his body, copying his brother Deimos' war mark, is more than just ink. It's a symbol of his twisted family loyalty, even if it's tragicomic and came too late, a protective charm, and an intrinsic part of his identity. In the God of War universe, these marks and symbols often hold mystical power. You could argue the tattoo, soaked in Kratos' history and power, acts like a conduit or amplifier for his energies, making him even more formidable. Alright, now that we've dissected the machine, let's see what it does. Kratos ain't just a musclehead, he's a master tactician. Eventually, an unparalleled combatant and a conduit for powers that would make the Justice League and the Avengers scratch their heads. Kratos' strength is his most iconic and devastating skill. He doesn't just lift heavy stuff. He throws gods, bends steel with his bare hands, smashes stone pillars with a punch, moves bridges, fells giant trees with a swing of his axe, and even warps realities if you count reversing frozen time by breaking time chains. Comparing him to Superman is tricky, as Supes has different power levels depending on the version, but Kratos at his peak is easily class 100 plus on the Marvel, DC scale, capable of moving mountains. The craziest part? He uses that strength surgically precise or gloriously chaotic, depending on the situation. He can decapitate an enemy with the precision of a surgeon or pulverize an army with a single blow. His durability is legendary. He's survived falls from Mount Olympus, attacks from gods wielding elemental and divine powers, being impaled by giant blades, divine explosions, and even the underworld. He can traverse hostile environments without significant damage for ages. His internal organs seem just as tough as his skin and bones, and his lung capacity must be massive to support that muscle mass and combat intensity. He's a tank with the agility of a predator. Spartan Rage. This is the ability that transforms Kratos from an overpowered being into an unstoppable force of nature. It ain't just a power boost, it's an adrenaline surge that pushes his body to its limit and beyond. Scientifically speaking, imagine an adrenal gland releasing stratospheric levels of adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol, but in a somewhat controlled way. This would result in massive strength, speed increase. Kratos' already super dense muscle fibers get flooded with these hormones, allowing faster and more powerful contractions, recruiting every possible motor unit. He moves faster, his strikes become devastating. Near total analgesia, pain is suppressed, letting him ignore grievous wounds and keep fighting with total ferocity. Increased resistance. Kratos' body becomes even more resistant to damage, like an invisible armor wraps his tissues. Tunnel focus. Kratos' mind becomes singularly focused on annihilating the target, ignoring distractions and risk. This is a double-edged sword, making him predictable or blind to subtler tactics. It's the equivalent of a super soldier on divine steroids. Despite his size and muscle mass, Kratos is incredibly agile and quick in combat. He can dodge attacks, roll, leap huge distances, and strike with lightning speed. He ain't a speedster like the Flash, but in a melee context, he can be faster than most opponents expect, especially those who underestimate his mobility. His reflexes are equally enhanced, letting him react to threats in milliseconds. Kratos has spent millennia in combat. He ain't just strong, he's an extremely skilled warrior. He's mastered a vast array of weapons, from the iconic Blades of Chaos to the Leviathan Axe and the Guardian Shield, not to mention countless others he's wielded and discarded. He knows the anatomy of his enemies, their weak points, and how to exploit them. In the Norse saga, we see a more mature and strategic Kratos. He doesn't just blindly leap into every fight anymore. He observes, he plans, he uses the environment. He teaches Atreus not just to fight, but to think. This tactical evolution makes him even more dangerous, combining his brutal strength with intelligent combat to become a complete opponent. Kratos, being a demigod and later a full god, absorbed or wielded a vast array of powers and divine gear. Blades of Chaos, Exile, his signature weapons. They ain't just blades, they're extensions of his will, capable of summoning fire, whipping enemies at range, and moving with deadly fluidity. Bound to him by mystical chains, they allow unique attacks and instant recall. Leviathan Axe. In the Norse saga, the Leviathan Axe is the perfect counterpart to the blades. Capable of manipulating ice, the axe can be hurled with incredible force and pinpoint accuracy, and incredibly returns to Kratos' hand with a mental command. That's pure physics and magic. Imagine the kinetic energy involved in that return. It's like the axe is a magnet locked onto Kratos' personal gravity field. Guardian Shield. Small but incredibly tough. The shield can block and parry divine and physical attacks with ease, stunning enemies and creating openings for counterattacks. Powers absorbed, granted. Throughout the Greek saga, Kratos absorbed the powers of the gods he defeated, gaining control over lightning, Zeus, souls, Hades, fire, Ares, and even the head of Helios to light his path. This magical versatility, combined with his strength, makes him a walking arsenal. Despite all this power, Kratos ain't invincible or limitless. He's got vulnerabilities, and many are more mental than physical. Kratos is immortal, in the sense he's incredibly hard to kill, and even when he dies, he always finds a way back from the underworld. He's been impaled by Zeus, crushed by Kronos, and committed suicide, but somehow, he always returns. However, he can be seriously injured and knocked out. Attacks from more powerful gods or specific divine weapons can take him down, at least temporarily. It ain't absolute invulnerability like some heroes. His rage, while his greatest power source, is also his greatest weakness. In his peak fury, Kratos can become blind, impulsive, and irrational, making it easy for smarter enemies to exploit that lack of control. Countless times, his anger has led him to make mistakes or ignore crucial warnings. His journey of maturation in the Norse saga is precisely about learning to control that rage. transforming it from a blind, destructive force into a focused tool. Kratos is a being eternally haunted by his past actions. The guilt and trauma of his family's deaths and destroying the Greek pantheon are constant weights on his mind. This can be exploited by enemies who torment him psychologically or lead him to make questionable decisions to protect those he loves. Kratos' mind, while strong, ain't unbreakable, and he has internal struggles as epic as his physical battles. While most physical attacks barely faze him, certain divine magics, curses, or weapons imbued with specific powers from the pantheons can cause significant damage. For example, the Blade of Olympus, crafted by Zeus, was one of the few weapons capable of truly harming and killing him in the Greek saga. In the Norse saga, the Fog of Niflheim and attacks from beings like the Balrog or the dragon Fafnir hurt him, even if he recovers quickly. What makes Kratos fascinating isn't just what he can do, but how he's evolved. From a Spartan warrior driven by blind vengeance to a father desperately trying to hide his past and teach his son a better path. His anatomy and abilities reflect that evolution. He's older, his scars are more pronounced, but the strength and wisdom he's gained make him a more complete and complex fighter. He relies less on uncontrolled fury and more on experience and strategy. He's proof that even the most powerful being can grow and change. In the end, Kratos is a masterpiece of character design, combining superhuman biology with divine powers and psychological depth rare in action games. He's the definition of a tank who can also do parkour and shoot lightning from his hands. With every swing of the Leviathan axe, with every throw of the Blades of Chaos, we're reminded that Kratos isn't just a game character. He's an entity, an unstoppable force that redefines what it means to be powerful. But the burning question, my dear nerds, after everything Kratos has endured, which of his enemies do you think really gave him the biggest physiological or psychological scare? And do you think there are still limits left for this insane Spartan to break? Hit me with your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this epic discussion going.